There's one thing that I think all shooters need, and it's one of the best things to come from Battlefield 4. In Battlefield 4, it's called the test range, but in purpose of this video, we're gonna call it the training grounds. The training grounds is gonna involve, for infantry, moving targets to master a weapon at any given distance with any given weapon, and then you can master all of the different attachments to it. And there's also gonna be a station to change your attachments and gadgets and weapons on the fly, so you don't have to redeploy or relock. You can do it all in game on the map. And then there's gonna be multiple courses and challenges to improve your skills. So let's say there's a building, you gotta take out all of the targets inside, and then you're gonna do it on a timed run, and of course you get a higher score for the better you do, your accuracy, your speed, just like in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And this is gonna help you decide which kind of weapons you enjoy using the most and what kind of gadgets you enjoy using at either close range, medium range and long range on the moving targets. And then you can also take them into the courses to see how they're gonna stack up in a situation like that in extreme close quarter combat. And this way you can also improve your skill while not in a map. And this is also a different way of warming up to, let's say, competitive matches, so you can warm up without having to ruin your precious KD. And if there's vehicles in that given shooter, there should also be a course and tutorial to train for that set vehicle before multiplayer. Because then you don't have to find an empty server, hop in, find the vehicle, work out some of the mechanics of it, train a little bit, and then other people join, they kill you, then you have to log out and find a different server that's empty, and then you gotta go through it all again. Training ground, you can just uninterruptedly train to your heart's content. And then of course you do not waste a chopper or a jet or a tank if you go into a multiplayer session and you want to work out how to use it, but people with greater skill just wipe the floor with you, and then basically you've just wasted that vehicle for your team. It's a great asset if the pilot is good. And of course there's gonna be a tutorial for all of the ammo and utilities for that set vehicle, and courses and challenges to improve your maneuverability, your target practice and your overall skill. So let's say it's with a chopper, there's different obstacles you gotta fly around, and you get more points the closer you get to the obstacle without crashing, and all of these points is gonna tie up into a ranking system that is gonna, how do I put this? It's something I feel is needed after playing Battlefield 2, 3 and 4 and Bad Company 2 and all of these games with vehicles. There's been too many people who just enter a vehicle, a very good vehicle, a vehicle that you can use for something, and only use it as a taxi. Like the most ultimate way of just wasting that vehicle. And I hated that. So what I also suggest is the fact that you need to have completed 5 base courses for that said vehicle. And of course 5 is just a random number. It could be 3, it could be 2, it could be 1, depending on the length of it and what it covers. But you need to complete that basic course or those basic courses before you get your license. So until you get your license, you can't pilot or you can't be the main driver of that said vehicle. Now of course this doesn't apply to transport vehicles unless of course it's a transport chopper, because that's also been used for a taxi way too often, where people just fly up to a roof, jump out, and then they've got a chopper of 5 to 6 people, like they're ready to get into combat, and then they are either just getting crashed because the pilot left the chopper while up high and parachuted onto a building, and then they crash before a new pilot takes over and saves them from imminent death, or another anti-air gun or another chopper shoots them dead because there's no pilot and there's no warning system whatsoever to the fact that the pilot leaves. So the fact that you have to get your license should be a mandatory thing. And of course some people are gonna be put off with this, like, oh, that's too bad. What if I only want to play multiplayer? Well, that's, if it's a team-based shooter, you should at least go through the courses so that people know that you've completed them. And now there's gonna be the thing, well, what if there's a dude that's just completed the main courses and he's not as skilled as another one? Well, this is where I suggest a tier system. So let's say that you've just completed the base course, then you're tier 1, and it goes up to either tier 5 or tier 10, just so we have some easy numbers. And of course, the people who have completed the most courses and the most challenges with the best scores is gonna be rated higher. So let's say if there's 2 people who at the same time, or approximately the same time, want to jump into a chopper, if there's gonna be a tier 2 person trying to get into that chopper, he's gonna get beaten to it by a tier 7 pilot, because he is way better and it's better utilized on him. We're not gonna use it on some rookie. I do know that some people will again be put off by this, saying that, well, what if I'm not a good pilot but I want to fly? Well, that's cool. You can always practice in the single player and improve your score. I'm not saying that just because there's one tier 6 and one tier 7, that doesn't mean that the tier 7 is gonna get the pilot seat. I'm just saying that if there's a great tier difference, the pilot seat should go to the better pilot. Now, if you're in, let's say that it's a tier 5 against a tier 7, then it could be more or less first come, first serves. So it's not too unfair, but still there's sort of like a ranking system. You do not put your worst soldiers into combat or say, you are really good at driving a tank, you fly the chopper, while the chopper pilot, who is a really awesome pilot, he's gonna drive the tank. So that's what I think. A system so a good driver or pilot will have a priority over a novice to not waste the vehicle in multiplayer, calculated from the courses and challenges completed, and of course the score and the ranking. And also I think that there should be a huge warning sound and flashing warning sign in the middle of the screen for any passenger in, let's say, a plane or a tank. So there's gonna be a huge warning sign blinking and an alarm sounding off when the pilot leaves the vehicle, reminding you or making you aware of the fact that the pilot has left the chopper. You need to do something, either jump out or jump into the pilot seat and get to a safe position or something like that, just so people are aware. And I also think that we need a point system to any given vehicle. Let's say, again, I'm using examples from Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. If I'm in the transport chopper and there's people who wants to go to a specific rooftop, then the pilot should transport that player to where he needs to go. That's kind of the idea with the transport chopper. And of course, with any successful, let's say, delivery of a soldier, the pilot gets a transport bonus. So he actually gets more points because as a transport chopper pilot, you don't really get any points whatsoever in Battlefield 4 at least. I also think that there should be a penalty for a driver or a pilot who just uses a vehicle to taxi, jump into a chopper, flying off to a place and then jumping out. Then there should be a penalty, not necessarily in points, but you can't jump into any vehicle for a set amount of time. And I know that people are gonna say, well, that's not gonna help too much because there's gonna be a lot of people who don't use vehicles at all in a game because they prefer infantry gameplay. And that's okay, but that's also where all of these other systems tie in together to make sure that no one just uses a vehicle for transport. And that's why I think training grounds needs to be added to any shooter.